seat. I'm going to give you one clap. I know that there was the instinct to clap. Do it right now. Good. Because in synagogues, one of the things that we do is instead of clapping, is actually we wish the person yesher koach. So I'm going to teach you these words. Say yesher koach. All right, so whenever Presley does something amazing, all you have to do is shout out, ready? Yesher koach. Very good. So Presley, grab a seat. I am so delighted to be sharing in this morning with you. Presley is such a wonderful young woman, filled with excitement for this moment. And when we look outside and we see the beauty of the sunshine, which I think that we've missed for a very long time, coursing through these windows, and we feel that light shining upon us, it does not compare to the light that is shining from within this space as we've gathered together to celebrate this moment. It is beautiful. And one of the ways in which we show that we're ready to pray and to celebrate together is to sing a wordless nigun, which means a melody without words that shares in the enthusiasm and joy that we might be feeling. So Cantor Mimi, would you lead us in a beautiful nigun? And please feel free to join in and sing along when you feel that you know the music. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We are going to begin our service in your prayer book, in the Siddur, on page 74. And for those of you who might not be familiar with the Jewish prayer book, the Siddur, it runs from right to left. That is correct. It goes in the direction that Hebrew goes. And we're going to be joining in on a prayer that reminds us to look upon the homes in which we all live and see the beauty of them. To see the beauty not just of the inside, but the beauty of the outside, but the beauty of the inside as well. So let's turn to the words of Ma Tovu, which can be found on page 74.
Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, O Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma Tovu, O Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. V'ani berov chastecha, avo beitecha, eshtecha ve'echal kodshecha b'yiratecha. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, O Halecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Adonai ahavti meyom beitecha, umekol mishkan kevodecha, mishkan vodecha, v'ani eshtachava v'yechra evrecha lifnei Adonai.
So moments ago in my study, an ancient and beautiful tradition took place where Presley had the talit of tradition, the talit that she's wearing, the prayer shawl that she's wearing, so lovingly placed on her shoulders by her mom and dad. And it is an expression of all of the values that have been passed from generation to generation in your family, Presley, and now they've been placed on yours. And on page 88 in your Siddur, page 88, there's a text that reminds us that when we fulfill certain obligations and take on new adult responsibilities, there's not only a reward that it brings sustenance and goodness to others, but there's an intrinsic goodness to them that is in itself rewarding. And so it's meaningful that Presley is going to be leading us in this beautiful reading on page 88.
These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the story of Torah encompasses them all.
We continue now in our Siddur on page 106. That's page 106 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'yikadash Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Belma divrach yotev yachmi malchutei bechayechon uvyomechon uvchayedecho be'Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, vimeru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mavarla, le'olam u'almei omaya, yidbarach, yidbarach, ve'yishtabach, v'ba'ar v'roma v'naseh, v'hadar v'taleh v'talal, Shmei dekudasha brechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da min ram be'alma, v'meru amen.
We now turn to the call to worship as we rise together on page 108. Please rise.
Your turn.
And we continue now in the Hebrew on page 110.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshe, osei shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz la'dorim ba'aleha b'rachamin, uv tuvo mekadesh b'yichol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshid, ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'chochma asita, mal'al ha'aretz kinyanecha, Tit barach Adonai Eloheinu al sheva ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'orei or she'asita yafarucha sela or chadash al tzion ta'ir v'nitzkeach hulanu leheira le'oro Baruch atah Adonai yotzer hamarot.
We are going to continue now on page 112. And Presley, when you look out at this congregation and you see it filled with friends and family and you see the pride that is in their eyes, That's how we experience God's love in this world. So I want you to always remember this moment. Sometimes in moments like these, it's easy to forget that you're surrounded with such extraordinary love. And so we are going to read on page 112, you're going to lead us in this beautiful prayer that reminds us of that love that God holds for each and every one of us.
How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears, whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and, lovingly, to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy.
We read together, gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly, you drew us near your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, hobacher ba'amo Yisrael b'hava. We continue now with the watchword of our faith, the Shema, on page 114.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
You may be seated. We continue now with Ve'ahavta on page 116.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol lavacha uvechol nafshtecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevanecha v'shinantam v'levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlektecha v'aderech uvshokbecha uvkunecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchatachtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'atzitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim Eloheihem ani Adonai Eloheihem asher hotzeiti etchem mi'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Eloheihem. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them among your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them in the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments, and be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai Eloheihem Emet.
We continue now reading responsively on page 121.
The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asked God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. We continue now on page 122 with Micha Mocha.
Turn.
La 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 la.
Yeah, I think I'm doing well.
Sur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael. Uftei kinumecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go'aleinu Adonai tzavaot shemo kadosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. We turn now to page 124 and we rise together for the tefillah.
To return. Adonai sifatai tivtach ufia gita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zoher Hasteavot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Lifnei v'Nehem, Lema Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Hakol atah lavroshiach, Mechalkel Chaim bechesed, Mechaye Hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim v'rofei cholim, Umatir azurim, Umekayim el umato, Lishanei afa, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umivdol me'alach, Melech me'mit, Umachaye, Umatzmiya Yeshuat, V'ne'eman atah l'chachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol.
We read responsibly on page 129.
You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the doorframe, I begin to enter into your glory.
You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you.
In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder.
Sit with me, eternal teacher, encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled.
Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Baruch atah Adonai, notea betochenu chaye olam.
Nikadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, kakatuv al yad neviyecha, v'karaz el zeh b'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Mahadir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, b'rachamav l'einei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai li'olam, Elohai Yitzion, L'dor v'dor, Hallelujah. L'dor v'dor nagid God lecha, U'netzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, Le'olam.
You may be seated. We turn now in our Siddur to page 132. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallows Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation.
Yismechu b'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malchutecha, shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mikadashei Shvi Shabbat Kulam Yisbehu V'itanu mituvecha Shabbat Yismechu b'malchutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malchutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Uvashvi Ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat Chemdat Yamim Oto Karata Shabbat Yismechu b'malchutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malchutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Zecher Lima'aseh v'reshit Shabbat Zecher Lima'aseh v'reshit Shabbat Yismechu b'malchutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malchutecha Shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat.
We continue reading responsively on page 135. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires our sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue now on page 136 for the Avodah prayer.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu B'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam b'yahava tikabel U'tehili ratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha El Korov Lechol Korov B'nei Elavadecha V'chaneinu Shefach
The Hoda'ah prayer is a prayer of thanksgiving that can be found on page 139. It reminds us to be grateful for all of the gifts that come our way. And on a morning such as this, as we look out and see perhaps the promise of a new spring on its way, and the seeds underneath the earth ready to sprout forth, we might feel grateful for the turning of the seasons. And as we look around and see a community of supportive friends and family and loved ones, should fill us with a sense of gratitude for the goodness that comes when we gather. And if, for example, if you have reason to be grateful this morning for a young woman who's taking her place as an adult within the Jewish community, that is another reason to feel grateful. So if you have a reason to feel grateful this morning, I invite you to say the Hebrew words, Modim Anachnu Lach, after each of the English readings. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations. Modim Anachnu Lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. Modim Anachnu Lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. Modim Anachnu Lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. Modim Anachnu Lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. Modim Anachnu Lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim Anachnu Lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim Anachnu Lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. We continue now with a prayer that we are so in need of in our world today, prayer for peace, Sim Shalom, on page 140.
Sim Shalom, Tova Uvracha, Chain V'Chesed, Rachamim V'Rachamim Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yisrael.
beautiful words of peace still echoing in our hearts and minds, we take this time for Tefillat Halev, for the prayers of the recesses of our hearts, silent prayer.
On the bottom of page 142, Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom mimrama, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, V'yakol v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimrama, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, V'yakol v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimrama, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, V'yakol v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimrama, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, V'yakol v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru amen. V'imru amen.
Thank you, Cantor Mimi. We are now going to turn to our Torah service for Seder Kriyat Torah on page 244. That's page 244 in your prayer book. And there we'll find beautiful prayers as we receive the Torah scroll. In just a moment, we are going to be taking the Torah from the Ark, which is a centerpiece of our service, and Presley's going to read from it. And it is a symbol, when we carry the Torah into the congregation, that Torah and all of its values and ideals isn't something just up here for the officiants, but it's something that belongs to all of us. And there's a custom of reaching out as the Torah passes by and touching it with your tzitzit on a talit, or if you're holding a siddur, you can reach out and touch it with the prayer book. And it is a beautiful tradition to be passing the Torah from generation to generation in your family, Presley, and it's a joy to call upon Jane Buttline and Alex and John DeToro and David Greenspan and Robin and David Yanes and Katrina and Adam to stand next to their daughter alongside Paloma. And it's also a joy to call upon Annie Robinson and JJ Robinson and Paloma and Katrina to open up our Ark doors. So we're going to rise now together as we turn to page 244 as we receive the Torah.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein k'ma'asecha. Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai os li'amon ba'ed.
Yerushalayim, ki v'chol levad batachnu, melech el ram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion teitzei Torah, udevar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
Zota Torah, Presley, as you well know, this is the Torah, and found within it are values that have been lifted high by your family for generations. And yes, the Torah is heavy, but when you look around this community and you look among your friends and your family and your loved ones, all of the heaviest things in life are worth carrying. And in many ways, your community is going to help you carry it as you walk and through the passages of life. And it is a joy to be passing this Torah from the generation of your grandparents and those who stand in their place. To the generation of your parents. And now, Presley, it's being placed on your shoulders where it should remain with good strength and good health. We turn now and face the congregation as we recite the watchword of our faith, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol
may be seated. And now, if this is one of the first times you've ever been to a bar bat mitzvah and you're one of Presley's friends, I'd like to invite you up actually onto the bima. So if this is your first time ever at a bar bat mitzvah, come up. We're going to show you the Torah, and we're going to tell you the story of this Torah that we teach each and every week. So don't be shy.
Come on, guys. Come on. Yalla.
Yalla. Quickly, is what you said.
Come on, guys.
All right, well, it's wonderful that you're all here. And so we want you to have the opportunity to see what Presley is going to be reading from this Torah scroll.
Come on.
And it's a beautiful Torah scroll.
Hey, you guys can gather around.
Gather around, exactly. So it's meaningful that Presley just carried into the congregation one of two Holocaust scrolls that we have here at Congregation Shalom. And this one that is before you is roughly around 125 years old and comes from Poland. And it's a beautifully written Torah scroll. And whoever the scribes were that made it were really at the height of their craft. But like all Torah scrolls and the lessons that reside within it, this was much loved by the community that used to gather around it. And there was one gentleman that was part of this community that particularly loved this Torah scroll. And so when the Germans amassed upon the Polish border, he had a sense of what might befall the Jewish community. And sure enough, so he hid the Torah scroll away. And sure enough, when the Nazis entered into Poland, which began the Second World War, they came to his community and took him, like they took so many others, all of those beautiful communities of Poland, to concentration camps and death camps. The man who hid the Torah scroll away was taken to Auschwitz-Birkenau, where life expectancy was a matter of hours or days at most. But this man actually was able to survive there until the camp was liberated. And after the end of the hostilities, he returned to where he had hidden the Torah scroll away. Who knows what horrors he must have seen in the period between the time in which he hid it and the time in which he brought it back. And so he took that Torah to a small surviving remnant that was meeting in Warsaw. And for some time, a community that was very small of the Jewish community that had once been so glorious in that country. And when it became so small, they decided that it was time to send the Torah scroll elsewhere. And the purpose of it being sent to the United States was that a Torah is meant to be used, especially by young people, so that they can grow with a sense of spirituality and enable the spark of hope and liberty and freedom for all humanity to be kindled and continued. And that means that when Presley reads this Torah amidst our community, it represents not only the hard work that she's done and how she's been able to learn from this Torah scroll, but it represents how every young person, no matter their religion, their race, their ethnicity, their nationality, can be a source of light unto the world, no matter how much darkness we might see in it. Which is why it is so meaningful that all of you are here to be a part of this incredible celebration, to stand shoulder to shoulder with your dear friend, and it is a beautiful connection that you will always have. So thank you for being here, and we're going to invite you now to go back to your seats as we're going to, you can give her a 10 if you want. Very good. Presley, you have the nicest friends. Oh my gosh. All right, so for those of you who would like to follow along in our Torah reading, there are many things that we ask you to do. We ask you to stand or sit down or bow. Now we're going to ask you to reach so that you can grab a chumash, this black chumash, which has got the 5 books of Moses within it. And we are going to be reading from Parshat Trumah, which begins on page 326 in your Chumash, and is Exodus chapter 25, verse 1. And so we're going to be on page 326. And it is a joy now to call forward members of your family and friends to step forward so that they can be our first aliyah. It's a joy to call upon Jonah, Ella, and Eve, and Jake DeToro. Ya'amdu Mordechai ben Yehudit v'John, ve'Ela bat Yehudit v'John, ve'Chava bat Yehudit v'John, ve'Yaakov ben Yehudit v'John. You got your spot.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Daber el bnei Yisrael v'yichu li truma me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo tichu et trumati v'zont ha-truma asher tichu me'itam zahav v'heset u'nechoshet.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesher Koach and Mazel Tov. You can come stand on my left side as I have the joy of calling forward dear family friends Graham Hoffman, Josh Jubileer, Andy Fine, Greg Sherman, and Andrew Kaplan. Ya'amdu Guriam ben Moshe, ve'Yoshua ben Yaakov, ve'Moshe Shraga ben Shlomo, ve'Mari, ve'Achiel ben Dov, ve'Aharon Mordechai, ben Eric, ben Eliyahu.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Utachelet ve'argaman ve'tolat shani ve'shesh ve'izim ve'orot elim me'odamim ve'orot techashim v'aseh shitim shemen lamaor besamim l'shemen chamishcha ve'liktoret hasamim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yesher Koach and Mazel Tov. Now you can come stand on my left side, and it's a joy to call upon dear aunt and uncle Alex DeToro and David Greenspan, and dear mom and dad to call forward Adam and Katrina Greenspan. Ya'amdu Yahudit bat Eliyahu v'Goldi v'Yitzchak ben Eliyahu v'Goldi v'Yisrael Yitzchak ben Eliyahu v'Goldi v'Katriel bat Avraham v'Sarah. Li'alda katana.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Avnei shoham ve'avnei miluim la'ephod ve'lahoshet ve'asu li mikdash ve'shachanti b'tocham kecho asher ani mar'eh otcha et tavnit chamishcha ve'et tavnit kokelav ve'hein tasu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. That's your koach. Beautiful, beautiful. Aliyah, you can now stand on my left side. Okay, let's give her a kiss. Ta'amod, ta'amod, ta'amod habat mitzvah. Ta'amod nechama be'ela ba Yisrael Yitzchak v'Katriel. It is with great fanfare and great joy that we call forward Presley Greenspan as she becomes a bat mitzvah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Ambrach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorah le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'asu Aaron atzei shitim amotaim v'hetzit arko ve'ama v'hetzit rachbo ve'aman v'hetzit komato v'tzipitach oto zahav tahor mibait umichut titzapenu ve'asita alanu zer zahav savi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Presley, take a deep breath. You've earned it. I think your parents want to take a deep breath too. Are you ready? Take a deep breath. Give them a hug and a kiss. All of you deserve it. And Presley, let's study some Torah together. That is just the best noise in the world. I hope you keep a recording of that laughter. There is a beautiful lesson that is in your Torah portion that I think speaks so perfectly to you. Now, have people been telling you how beautiful you look today? All around?
Yes, actually.
Oh, yeah, okay, very good.
Yes.
I think that's right. But when you look at your Torah portion, at the very end, and it was actually beshert that you should be reading this Torah portion, because when they're creating the ark, they're told to plate the acacia wood, to plate the wood with gold on the outside, right? But then it continues to say, and we'll plate it on the inside as well. Now, you might ask the question, why does it need to be plated on the inside? No one is going to see it. You know, the ark is something that people can gaze upon from a distance, but only a very, very few would get to see what's inside. And the rabbi said that there's a lesson there. And the lesson is that as much as it's important that we reflect a certain sense of beauty in the external world, but so too do our inner worlds matter, that the soulful qualities that we have in this world, that they should be filled with beauty too. And I think that that's perfect for you, because you are a person that is as beautiful on the inside as you are on the outside. And certainly you get that from your mom and your dad and your family and all those who stand with you, because they've helped plate you with that gold that lies within your soul. And as we pass those values and ideals from generation to generation, that is the golden link that is going to link you all together. So never stop upholding that beauty in our world by creating that goodness around us, by being the type of soulful person that you are. And then we know that we will create a world that is much better than the one that's been handed to you, as you are able to carry that forward. And so it is meaningful tradition to uplift the Torah. And so you've uplifted the Torah today, and it's a joy to call upon your dad, who's the starker in the family, to lift up the Torah scroll, as well as to call upon your dear grandmother Jane Buttline to step forward, and Paloma, your sister, is going to help dress the Torah. We are going to rise now as a community as we lift and bind that Torah scroll. Nice.
Mizot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael Adonai v'yal Moshe.
La Ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. You may be seated. And now Presley's going to read the English translation of her Torah portion.
All right. The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell the Israelite people to bring me gifts. You shall accept gifts from me from every person whose heart is so moved. And these are the gifts that you shall accept from them: gold, silver, and copper, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned ram skins, dolphin skins, and acacia wood, oil for lighting, spices for the anointing oil and for the aromatic incense, lapis lazuli and the other stones for setting, for the ephod and for the breastpiece. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, exactly as I show you, the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all of its furnishings, so shall you make it. They shall make me an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Overlay it with pure gold. Overlay it inside and out, and make it a gold molding round about."
We are now going to turn to a second biblical reading that we do on Shabbat, known as the Haftorah. And the Haftorah comes from the section of our Tanakh known as the prophets. And the prophets weren't simply foretellers predicting a future, rather they were forthtellers. And they wanted to make society a more just and equitable place with their actions and with all of their deeds. And now Presley is going to do the blessing before the Haftorah, and then she'll read the Haftorah. And that can be found in your Chumash on page 900. Well, no, it can't be that. Oh, yes, it can. It's Rosh Chodesh. So page 993. Page 993.
Page is it in this? Page is it in this? Oh, 254, I remember. Yep. 254. Okay. All right, the blessing before. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Yehoash said to the priests, "All the money, current money, brought into the house of God as sacred donations, any money that someone may pay as the money equivalent of persons promised to God, or any other money that it occurs to someone to bring to the house of God. Let the priests receive it, each from his benefactor. They, in turn, shall make repairs on the temple, wherever damage may be found." But in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, it was found that the priests had not made repairs on the temple. So King Jehoash summoned the priest Jehoiada and the other priests, and said to them, "Why have you not kept the temple in repair? Now, do not accept money from your benefactors anymore, but have it donated for the repair of the temple." The priests agreed that they would neither accept money from the people nor make repairs on the temple. And the priest Jehoiada took a chest and bored a hole in its lid. He placed it at the right side of the altar as one entered the house of God. And the priestly guards of the threshold deposited there all the money that was brought into the house of God. Whenever they saw that there was much money in the chest, the royal scribe and the high priest would come up and put the money accumulated in the house of God into bags, and they would count it. Then they would deliver the money that was weighed out to the overseers of the work, who were in charge of the house of God. They, in turn, used to pay the carpenters and the laborers who worked on the house of God, and the masons and the stonecutters. They also paid for wood and for quarried stone with which to make repairs on the house of God, and for every other expenditure that had to be made in repairing the house. However, no silver bowls and no candle snuffers, basins, or trumpets, no vessels of gold or silver were made at the house of God from the money brought into the house of God. The money was given only to the overseers of the work for the repair on the house of God. No check was kept on whom the money was delivered to pay the workers, for they behaved honestly. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el hane'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber umkayem, shekel devarav emet v'tzedek. Al haTorah ve'al ha'ovadah ve'al hanaviim ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod ultivaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha b'fi chol chai tami lolam va'ed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Yesher koach. That was such a beautiful Haftorah reading. And honestly, have you ever heard such a beautiful building campaign pitch ever made as hearing it being expressed by you, Presley? And so it is a joy now to call upon Ben Stern and Jeremy Krause to step forward as they have the honor of opening up our Ark doors as we return the Sefer Torah to the Ark, which can be found in your Siddur in the Blue Book on page 256. We rise now together as a community and as a congregation. Behold, a good doctrine has been given unto you by Torah, forsake it not, for it is a tree of life to those who cling to it. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace.
It's Chaim Lamachazikima V'tom Chaha Mihushar D'Racheha Darchei Noam V'chol Netivoteha Shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
You may be seated, and now Presley has prepared these beautiful words on the occasion of her becoming a bat mitzvah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This week's Torah portion is called Truma. Interestingly enough, both my Torah portion and my Haftorah are about the same things: generosity, community, and creating a special place for holiness in our lives. In Parshat Truma, God tells Moses on Mount Sinai to ask the Israelites for donations to help build a portable place of worship called the Mishkan. God also gives very specific instructions on how to build it. This sacred space will allow God to be among them while they travel through the wilderness. In God's words, "They shall make me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell among them." Now, this isn't just any line of the Torah. This is one of the most famous lines in the entire Torah. And today, as I stand here, not only did I read it during my portion, everyone here has been looking at it. That line, those Hebrew words, are written right behind me on the wall. Cool, right? To me, there are two interesting things about God's request. The first is how God asked for donations. The Israelites were asked to give gold, silver, fabrics, and other materials, but there was one important detail. The donations had to come from the heart. No one was forced to give. They had to want to give. This teaches us that true giving that the highest form of giving isn't based on obligation. It comes from caring and wanting to help. The second interesting thing for me is a question this parsha raises. Why does God even need a home? God is everywhere. So why would God need a building? The answer is God doesn't need the Mishkan, but we do. The Mishkan gave the Israelites a way to feel connected to God and help them bring holiness into their everyday lives. So, what's the real lesson of Parshat Shema? It isn't just about giving things, it's about giving things with meaning. It's about putting our hearts into what we do. Whether it's helping a friend, volunteering, or just being kind. When we give from the heart, we bring holiness into the world, just like the Israelites did. For my Bat Mitzvah project, I have been raising money and awareness for the Georgie Badial Foundation. This organization helps people in Burkina Faso, a country in West Africa, by building and repairing wells so communities can have clean water. They also teach people how to care for the wells to keep the water safe. When I told Rabbi Noah about my project, he told me something really cool. One of the titles we sometimes give to the Torah is Ma'ayan Torah, which means the wellspring of Torah. I thought that was amazing because it means that, in a way, this project was always connected to the Torah, even before I realized it. I have been working hard on this project, and it has felt exciting and rewarding rather than something that is a chore. When I collect donations, I don't feel exhausted. I feel happy, proud, and grateful. Now, I have some very important thank yous to say. Dad, thank you for all the times you've been there for me. Whether it's staying up late to help with homework, calming me down when I'm stressed out, and even helping me pick out an outfit. I love you, and I'm so grateful that you're my dad. Okay. Mom, you're always there for me. We have our own jokes, and we always laugh together. You comfort me when I'm sad. You've helped me when I'm overwhelmed. You taught me that things don't need to be perfect as long as I did my best. I love you and always will. Okay. Paloma, I know that we fight sometimes. Okay, a lot. But just know that when I say something mean, I never mean it. You're my sister, and that means my always and forever best friend. If I have a bad day, you always ask me if I'm okay. I love you, and I'm proud to be your sister. Nana, you are loving, kind, and giving to everyone around you. You send me new books to read and recipes for food to make. Every time I call or come over to your house, you make me feel so happy. I love you so much, and I can't imagine my life without you. To my family, Aunt Alex, Uncle John, Annie, JJ, Jonah, Ella, Eve, Jake, Uncle David, Eliana, Evie, Uncle Brian, Aunt Sarah, and Ben. Whether it's holidays, birthdays, or just a regular day, you make everything special. No matter what, I know I can always count on you. For a laugh, for support, or for advice. Thank you. I couldn't ask for a better family to be a part of. To Georgie and my godfather, Chid, thank you for traveling so far to come here. I am thankful to support your foundation and hope to carry your spirit of giving in my own life. To my friends, thank you all for being here. You make my life fun, exciting, and definitely unpredictable. I'm so happy you could celebrate with me. To Rabbi Noah, Rabbi Abby, Adon Paler, and Miss Green, thank you for guiding me on this journey and helping me become a bat mitzvah. I'm so grateful for everything you taught me. Okay. To my grandfather, Eric, I know you would be so proud of me today. You're one of the kindest people I've ever known, and you loved me so much. You made the world a better place just by being you. I will always carry your love, laughter, and your incredible spirit with me. And finally, to everyone here today, thank you so much for celebrating with me and for making this day so special. Shabbat Shalom.
Now, can we all say Yesher Koach? Yesher Koach. What a beautiful, beautiful speech. And now, I know Paloma wants to say some words to you as well. And then Katrina and Adam are going to share their words of love for you as well. So stay up here with your sister. Don't go anywhere.
Presley, you did such a good job. I love you so much. It makes me very proud to be your sister. I always get to play with you, but now every time I play with you, I will always know how much you have grown up. I hope you have a fun time at the party and get to dance all night long.
Thank you. Mom, we have tissues. Here. Bring them out. Hold it together.
We got this. Good afternoon, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. Your presence means everything to us. And of course, special thank you to Rabbi Noah, Cantor Mimi, for leading us in such a beautiful service. But before I say anything else, let's just take a moment to appreciate what just happened. Presley, you absolutely crushed it today. You stood up here with confidence and grace. You led the service beautifully. You read from the Torah with strength and somehow managed to make reading Hebrew in cursive with no vowels sound effortless, which to me is not only inspiring but deeply humbling, because I've been coming here for 25 years and I never knew what those 5 words on the wall meant until today.
Neither have I.
So I always knew this day would be special. But standing here now looking at you, I just realized how much you made it special, which is what makes this next part so hard. Because now we've arrived at the morning where I get to stand up, take a deep breath, and attempt the impossible. To try to summarize in just a few minutes how much you mean to us, how incredibly proud we are of you, and most of all, how much I love being your dad.
And how much I love being your mom.
Now, to really understand Presley, you have to understand how she was as a baby. Like first-time parents, Katrina and I took baby-proofing very, very seriously. We had cabinet locks, we had padded doors, we had corners on everything. If it said baby-proof, we bought it. We were planning for some type of apocalyptic event before Presley came. And then something unexpected happened. As soon as you started crawling and exploring, if we just said, Presley, don't do that, you just didn't. No tantrum, no testing limits, just a tiny nod. It was as if Katrina and I had a brand new 1-foot-tall roommate who had their life together way more than we did. And I remember thinking, either I am the greatest parent of all time, or this little girl is just naturally awesome. Spoiler alert, it was the second one. And that's when I knew that I was going to love being a dad.
And I was going to love being a mom. Okay.
I'm giving you a hug. Hold together.
Presley, you are, simply put, a genuinely good person. Not because anyone tells you to be, not because you want recognition, but because deep down you just are. You have always been thoughtful, kind, and polite in a way that makes people immediately want to be around you. When you were a child, people invited over and then immediately asked, when can she come back? At 6 years old, while most kids were debating whether mac and cheese qualifies as a full meal, you made the decision to become a vegetarian. Not because it was trendy, not because we suggested it, but because you learned if more people adopted a plant-based diet, there would be less world hunger, and because you love animals so much that you couldn't stand the idea of them being harmed. This wasn't just a choice. This was a glimpse into the person you were becoming, because compassion isn't something you have, it's something you do. And that part of you has only grown stronger.
Oh my gosh, I'm next.
Now, thanks to Katrina's meticulous research of new and exciting summer camps and cool evening classes, you were always stepping into brand new places with new camps, new faces, new counselors, new adventures. And every time, Presley, you made them your own, you would come home with great stories to share. And then at 9 years old, you decided to take it to the next level. You asked to go to sleepaway camp. Not just any camp, but Camp Interlaken. The place where I spent 12 summers of my life. The place where many of people in this room and I became friends. Well, guys, here we are,
35 years later at my daughter's bat mitzvah. Thank you to whoever in the back just said that that's impossible because I don't look a day over 30. You'll be getting free challah after the service.
Now, Presley, last summer, after Interlaken, you took on something even bigger. You interviewed and became a CIT counselor in training at the YMCA day camp. The days were long and challenging, but I remember one day in particular when I picked you up. We were in the car. You were sunburned, your clothes were covered in the day's adventures, paint from arts and craft, grass from running down the sprinklers. A day where you had given it all for the kids. You dropped into the passenger seat, still smelling like citronella bug spray, barely holding yourself upright. But then you smiled, not just any smile, the kind that comes when you've given everything and it was worth it.
Oh, goodness.
Now, Presley, at Interlaken and the YMCA camp, you were surrounded by kids, action, and chaos. And then came what in our house we politely refer to as the Great Quilting Incident of 2022. Mom signed you up for a sewing class at the Cedarburg Quilting Center without doing a ton of research on the targeted demographic. She was thinking it would be a fun and creative outlet, but then the hostess came to open the door with her walker, and you two had to help her back in. Presley was the youngest person there by about 95 to 96 years. The next youngest could tell you the price of a loaf of bread in 1932.
But did that stop you? No. You told me that the ladies loved talking to you, and many of them said you reminded them of their granddaughter, which made them very happy. And you wanted to go back, not just for the quilting, but because it made them happy. You showed up week after week, you laughed and you learned.
Gosh, come on.
You quilted. And by the end, not only were you the star student, but you also end up working on an internationally recognized art display. And were even interviewed for a documentary.
I was.
Classic Presley. Drop her into any situation and she makes it better, not just for herself, but for everyone around her.
And if there's one moment that sums up who you are, Presley, it's this. One night after picking you up from one of the random classes that Mom had signed you up for, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, I asked how it went. You shrugged and said, "Well, Dad, there was a lot of people there. They all knew each other. Most of them went to the same school. None of them went to Webster." A little concerned, I asked, "Well, was it okay?" You smiled, and without missing a beat, you said, "Oh, yeah. I walked in knowing no one, and I walked out being friends with everyone."
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, that is just a cool thing to say. Presley, we are so proud of the person you are already at 12 years old. You think deeply, you are funny, and you are fun to be around.
You stand up for what you believe in.
You root for the underdog, making sure the quiet voices get heard, not when it's easy, but when it actually matters.
Oh, gosh.
You lead with kindness.
You stand with strength.
You move through the world with purpose.
Presley, these qualities are rare and beautiful, and they are what sets you apart. And Presley, all those years ago, we knew we were going to love being a mom and dad, but what we didn't know was just how much we would love being your mom and dad. Mazel tov, we love you.
Oh, wow. Hashtag best speech. And saddest. Oh, it was really sad. Oh, and I never cry. Oh, okay. Just gotta...
Adam and Katrina and Paloma, thank you for those beautiful, beautiful words along with the tears.
And the tears, they share just as much as the words do. So Adam and Katrina, I'm going to ask that you stand, and Paloma too. Paloma, you've had a hand in making your sister who she is. It's right that you should stand with them. And Presley, if you would rise as well and stand together. And also if all of the family who is here that we call friends and the friends who we call family, if you would rise as well. So grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and all of the community that is here, if you would stand as well, as we are going to recite the blessings that have been on the lips of our ancestors since time immemorial in moments such as these, the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us life, who has sustained us, and who has brought us to this very special moment today. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated. Presley, you should be so proud of everything that you've done today. You read from the Torah so beautifully. You led us in prayer with dignity, and you taught us important lessons filled with wisdom and goodness. But I'm not surprised, because you have such wonderful examples in your mom and dad, your whole family, and the friends who are here to support and celebrate you. Sometimes life presents us with moments that we call beshert. They're meant to be. And I believe this is one of them, because today is Rosh Chodesh Adar, the beginning of the new month of Adar, a time when we are taught, Mis shenichnas Adar marbin besimcha. When Adar arrives, joy increases. But there's another powerful lesson in Rosh Chodesh as well. If you look into the night sky tonight, the moon will be at its darkest. And yet with each passing day, there will be a little more light. And sometimes the world feels like that too. There are times of darkness, but with patience and effort and hope, the light always returns. And how meaningful is it that one of the themes of your Bar Mitzvah is the light through the clouds, right? And Presley, when we see a young person like you bringing light into the world, we're reminded that the darkness will never last. And how perfect is it that your dad is the founder of Lightzilla, a company that literally brings light. But today, Presley, you are the one illuminating the world around us. In your Devar Torah, you focused on this beautiful verse that's on the wall, Ve'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham, build for me a sanctuary and I shall dwell within them. The rabbis of old noticed something curious about this verse. God commands the Israelites to build a mishkan, a sanctuary, in the singular, right? One sanctuary. Yet when God describes where the divine presence will rest, the Torah does not say, I shall dwell within it, but rather it says, I shall dwell within them. And the rabbis understood as a profound teaching, God's presence is not confined to a single building, no matter how grand or sacred. Rather, God dwells within us, within the people who come together to build something greater than themselves. It's not the walls of the Mishkan or the temple that hold holiness, but the human heart and souls that create a space for God's presence in the world. And Presley, today is a reminder that you too are such a place. You've spent months preparing for this moment, years, in fact, learning Torah, deepening your understanding, and dedicating yourself to the milestones of Jewish life. But more than that, you've spent your life with the guidance of wonderful parents, alongside your sister Paloma, who's going to be up here in no time at all, building your own sacred places. And through your kindness and your curiosity and your passion and your commitment, you make a home not just for yourself, but for those around you. And that's where God dwells, not just in a building or a prayer book, but in you. And whenever you show up for others with an open heart, like your Mitzvah project, this idea of digging wells for communities and for the world to bring a sense of goodness that can spread out, that is an extraordinary way of opening your heart to others. When you embrace learning and growth, like sitting and learning how to quilt with others, which I did not know until today, right? Be able to create a fabric of a life for others that is filled with meaning and goodness, and you are a part of the fabric of other people's lives with that goodness. Whenever you create joy or seek justice and pursue love in the world, God's presence is there. You're not just part of a community, you help build community. And because of that, v'shechanti b'tocham, God dwells within you. So my blessing for you is this. May you always know that you carry holiness within you. May you always build